Hello and a very warm welcome to all our viewers today. This is Neerav Katyal, your host for the day, connecting live from India. And I am extremely enthralled to host today's masterclass brought to you by Recorum. Our vision at Recorum is to onboard millions of enthusiastic users to the Web3 revolution. And that is why we bring to you a one of a kind masterclass series, Transitioning to Web 3.0. The world is heading towards a more connected ecosystem as time passes by. And that is where Web3 comes to the fore. Web3 is all about building communities through the power of decentralization, blockchain, and the secret sauce to top it all, you. It is time that you, me, and the world around us transition to Web 3.0. Before we get started with our masterclass for today, let me give you a sneak peek into what we do at Recorum. Recorum connects Web3 professionals to Web3 companies through Web3 events, just like this one. Web3 is the new internet and is meant for anyone who wishes to be a part of a transparent, efficient, and autonomous ecosystem. This is where Recorum steps in and helps attendees discover Web3 jobs in professional events like conferences, webinars, and meetups across 70 plus industries and verticals, all the way from banking to agriculture to gaming. Today, we have 75 plus companies offering a plethora of jobs to all of you. We are also providing NFT minted certificates to all the participants who stay till the end of the event. So please start sending in your wallet addresses in the discussion room below so that you can all take away a unique memory from today. In case you are viewing this stream on our social media channels, please join this event from recorum.com and drop your wallet addresses in the discussion room below. With this, I would like to welcome you to this second masterclass. How can DMX revolutionize the metaverse? The session flow is going to be as follows. Firstly, we meet with our guest speaker for the day. This is followed by a short presentation from the speaker on the intricacies of DMX or decentralized metaverse exchange. Next, we have some questions that we have collected from the Recorum community, which we will seek the answers to. And lastly, the floor will be open for questions from the audience polls. So, without any further ado, let's meet with our speaker for today. He is an entrepreneur and at heart with a keen interest in international marketing and business management. An alum of the Berkeley College and Shanghai University, he has co founded a number of different ventures, all the way from sectors like health tech to fashion. He co founded Digital Versorgung, a startup operating in the German healthcare industry, enabling digital health innovations, and Style Exchange, a fashion NFT platform enabling individuals to indulge in virtual fashion across several metaverses. A member of the advisory board at the Metaverse Fashion Council, he aims to increase the opportunities for designers and brands within the metaverse. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce to you our speaker for the day, the founder of Style Protocol, Mr. Leo Hilse from Germany. Mr. Leo, am I audible? Yes. Hi, Mr. Leo. I hope I hope you're able to hear me.
You listed so many things. I got really nervous. Yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks for the invite. I'm looking forward to share a little bit on insights with regards to what we're building at Style Protocol. Um, yeah, and thanks for the platform.
I think we are equally humbled to have you here. It's we're looking forward to learn a lot from you today. But before we get into the details, let's just talk a little bit. Let's take a backseat and talk a little bit about what does the metaverse mean to you?
Mm, I'm personally really excited about the metaverse, and I have indulged like 90% of my personal operational time on this because um, I think it's the future for social engagement within our society, based on a number of numerous facts, such as we're as a society on the planet pretty much overpopulated. We are, in terms of resources, running out. We're destroying many parts of this planet for um, arguably no good reason at all. And I personally see the metaverse and like virtual realities as one way to manage a growing society in the future and give people space to kind of live a large part of their life in the future, in order to then save on other more tangible non-virtual resources.
All right. So, from what I can understand, metaverse could actually be the solution to all the problems that we are facing today, or might be facing in the future when it comes to proper problems like overpopulation, for example.
I mean, I don't know about all the problems, right? I mean, we have
Yeah,
a
yeah.
shit ton of problems, but I think some of the problems. I personally, I'm an absolute metaverse brutalist. I think, um, most of the people that are going to be viewing are probably familiar with the films The Matrix. Maybe some of you guys are familiar with the movie Ready Player One. There's a lot of these like movies about virtual realities and people spending a ton of time there. And I personally think that this is not as dystopian as everybody always tends to make it sound, but I actually think it's a relatively attainable future for us. But that's a very arguable point, and it's a personal opinion.
Yeah. No, I kind of agree with you because I think we're already living in that sort of a space already. We're spending so much time every day on our phones itself, and
I agree. Yeah,
it's
I
just
agree. I think it would just be an enhancement of what's already
yeah,
happening.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's just that these devices are going to just keep getting more integrated with our human body. Right now, they're still an external, object, but in the future, who knows? They might just become a part of your body.
Yeah.
All right. With this, I would like to hand over the stage to you to tell us a little bit about what Style Protocol is and what really happens at Style Protocol. Over to you, Mr. Leo.
Cool. Awesome. I think I'll share my screen to kind of like um, dive into it in a little bit more detail. Let me also put a timer for a couple of minutes so that I don't waste anyone's time.
Sure.
Maybe like 7 minutes or something. Cool. All right. I'm going to use this presentation because I've recently also used it for another event. And I think it's very helpful for a couple of grounding things. So I'm going to be talking about the metaverse, and also I'm going to be talking about our venture Style Protocol, which essentially is a NFT interoperability protocol, or we also call it a decentralized metaverse exchange. So it's our metaverse and NFT version of the DEX protocols that you're probably all aware of. Before I dive into the details, a very important remark as a kind of like baseline. When I talk about the metaverse, I talk about a future where there's many different virtual worlds. Oftentimes, people, especially in journalism and the media, when people are not very in the topic, they say, oh, this metaverse, and then they all associate it with like this one place where everyone is, kind of like the matrix scenario. I personally think that's an unrealistic scenario because there's many different stakeholders trying to build something, right? There's large companies like Meta, Niantic Studios from Google. There's a lot of existing metaverses like Decentraland and Sandbox. And I think a very realistic scenario, at least for the next 5 to 15 years, is that we're going to have numerous different worlds that are based on crypto and blockchain as classic decentralized metaverses, and then also a lot of games from existing gaming companies kind of like opening doors into a more decentralized and also blockchain-based manner, creating an absolute clusterfuck of different places where people can hang out, which is why we're building the DMX. And to build up on top of that, I don't think I need to explain to anyone here what hot wallets are, but all of the different metaverses are currently on different blockchains and oftentimes accessible with different wallets. And then on top of that, as I've mentioned before, all of them are designed by different studios, have different 3D engines and virtualizations, right? We have Sandbox with a more pixelated thing. Somnium is VR. Decentraland is not VR, but relatively realistic in terms of the 3D adjustments of the models. And it's all very different. And what we try to do with the decentralized metaverse exchange is essentially allowing NFTs to be cross metaverse usable. So kind of like how when you use a DEX, you're able to switch, different networks. We want to get into an infrastructure play where you're able to have an asset and switch the network for the metaverse on a blockchain basis with your asset, but also the 3D virtualization of it. World. And here's an example of what it would look like for one of the fashion companies that we've worked with in the past. They're called Cloner. It's like a fashion house from Paris. This was the original 3D asset as an NFT that was for sale on our launchpad. And then the different versions for the metaverses, as you can see, are highly dependent on kind of like what that metaverse is, meaning in Sandbox is pixelated and Decentraland a little more futuristic. You get the idea. None of this is compatible right now. And I do not want to go into a future where everyone needs to build a wardrobe or an avatar for an individual metaverse. I think at some places you might want to have something individualized, but it's also going to be very helpful for you to bring things everywhere. Just kind of how MetaMask allows you to take your coins to a lot of different platforms. I think it's just nice to have your NFT being able to wear or to use in different verses. By the way, I'm often using fashion here as an example because it's very easy to imagine, right? Everyone has a shirt or something in different metaverses, but this can be anything. It can also be a hat or like a skin, I don't know, accessories. It can be a pet, it can be a car. It's really universal. It can be a sword for like a video game. And this is something that we're enabling. How do we do this? This is probably what interests some of you guys. I think we will have some maybe technical viewers. Essentially, we have a decentral protocol that we're building on Polkadot with a decentralized storage of all of the relevant 3D assets on IPFS, by the way. And we connect via API on a very technical level to a bunch of different metaverses and in emerging worlds, for them to be able to push and fetch assets into the general registry. And then for the 3D virtualization, what happens is that when an NFT is staked on our protocol, we essentially, after the verification of truthworthiness and legality, because we actually check with OpenSea and the collections to make sure that this is an NFT of the actual collection and not some some screenshot or whatever. We take this as universal, let's say, mothership NFT, and then withdraw derivatives NFTs onto the relevant blockchains for the different metaverses. So if you want to be like a super itty picky professor about it, I guess it's not technically bridging, because the problem with the technical bridge is if you have an NFT on Polygon and then you move it to, let's say, Cardano, you can move the asset onto a different chain, but that doesn't create the 3D visualization of it if the two blockchains are adjusted to two different metaverses. So what we do is, when staking on our protocol, we allow the, let's say, mother file NFT to draw derivatives or sub-licensed versions into the different blockchains that are then applicable with the 3D versions of it. And in order to kind of put this information under the main file, it's all running under like a gigantic JSON in the decentralized registry. And then whenever someone wants to utilize this NFT in one of the different metaverses, we basically, through the connectivity, fetch the information and can then that was the 7 minutes. We can then display the relevant version of this metaverse. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. I'm gonna maybe just give to 30 more seconds. The reason we're doing this, I think, is very clear. As I said before, I think it's going to be a super important step in terms of infrastructure for people to utilize their assets, because we see it in the market right now. You know, Sandbox is working with Gucci, the Deutsche Gabbana is doing fashion NFT drops, or even the Bored Apes, right? If you have a Bored Ape, any NFT that's high value, and you spend like $200,000, $300,000 on it, or even only $5,000, one Ethereum, whatever. It's an asset that you essentially want to utilize as much as possible, and you don't want to, we see ourselves in this virtual future, buy something new that is potentially very expensive all the time. There's a certain amount of the population that would be able to afford this, sure, but in order to make the metaverse accessible and kind of like bring the whole society a little further, and this, we need infrastructure for all kinds of assets, and also the ones that are more attainable for the average person. Yeah, and that's kind of it. Yeah, never mind. We won 2 awards for this, actually. This is why I have it here, which is nice to mention. The company is only a couple of months old. And maybe just to finalize, obviously I'm not doing this by myself. I have like a team of around 20 people with me. We're pretty international. Yeah, the headquarters here in Berlin, which is where I'm right now in our office. I'm a German, but we do have a bunch of people from around the world that are supporting me, and also great investors, because obviously this is not like a one man job here. That's it. Thank you so much for having me, Nirav, Recorum team. Very much looking forward to the discussion and the questions that might emerge.
Thank you so much, Leo, for that wonderful presentation and just walking us through about what a metaverse exchange is, and how a style protocol making a difference in this domain. So I'd like to just move to the section where we start talking about some questions that we have taken from the Recorum community.
Sure.
And the first question is again a little light. We're going to be talking a little bit about you as a person, and what advice can you give. So I was going through your LinkedIn and I saw that there are so many startups and so many organizations that you have co-founded or founded. So what is your piece of advice that you would like to give to young and budding entrepreneurs who are trying to enter this new space?
Uh, I'm, I mean, I've done a couple of Web2 companies, apps and platforms, yes, and now I'm involved in 2 or 3 Web3 companies. Um, but I also think there's a lot of, like, I want to be very humble here. There's a lot of people that are like bigger or more famous entrepreneurs, right? And they often give like a lot of advice. You know, if you go like, I don't know, Elon Musk, fucking Grant Cardone, like Zuckerberg, they probably have Steve Jobs. They have interviews with amazing advice that myself and also a lot of other founders I know listen to. I don't think I myself can like come to this level yet of advice, but just like personally, I think the cool thing about Web3 is a very open space, right? It's a very new space, which is allowing a lot of people to participate with a very low entry border. So from personal experience, I can say that a lot of classic businesses are cash intensive initially. If you open a restaurant, let's say, at least here in Germany, maybe it's different in other countries, but if you open a restaurant here, there's a lot of legal, administrative, and operational costs associated with it. Or if you do, like, let's say you want to start a shipping company, right? You need boats and staff. And then the Web 2 internet was already a lot cheaper in setup, right? You only needed a computer, internet connection, maybe some hosting. Um, and Web 3 is even cheaper, is even more accessible, because through NFT drops and essentially community building, you can um, generate not revenue, but you can generate the first kinds of funds to then move projects further. We've seen this a lot with NFT projects, right? They launch, and with the initial sellout of uh, you know NFTs, they then finance the further development of the project, which I think is very interesting to see, and it should be very motivating for anyone that's listening and who's looking to build his own thing. Is a great time. Also, the market is like really young still. I mean, a lot of people have been in crypto, but Web3 is something that only truly emerged like two years ago. So yeah, that's pretty much what I think is a good time right now, especially because it's bear market as well, right? There's less noise, right? In bull market, everyone's crypto, a token launch here, launch pad. Everyone's trying to make like a quick buck, and now everyone's calming down. VCs are more careful with their investments, and it's a good time to just focus and build something meaningful.
Completely agree with that. I mean, this is a good time to basically test the waters and get into this new space that is coming about. And another thing what I feel is really important in this is to understand that, like you mentioned, it's a new space that is evolving. It's still in its infancy, so you just need to put in your effort because it's quite accessible for anyone. And after that, the sky is the limit.
Exactly. Very nice. Very well said.
All right. So, with that, let's move on to the next question that we have, and this is coming a little bit closer towards what your presentation was already about. Can you tell us what is the actual need for a decentralized metaverse exchange, and how is Style Protocol actually helping in this need?
I mean, we've talked to, first of all, when I did the other company, the fashion marketplace, I realized that there's no interoperability in between metaverses. And then also, I talked to a lot of people that have NFT collections and a lot of people that are building stuff in Web3. And the big issue that everyone shares is that there is infrastructure missing on multiple levels, right? There's infrastructure missing in terms of like onboarding processes for people that are not from the crypto environment. There's infrastructure missing for certain blockchains and wallets. There's oftentimes administrative infrastructure missing, right? There's not a lot of, at least here in Europe, maybe it's different where some of the viewers are, maybe Singapore, maybe you're lucky you're in the Cayman Islands, but at least here in a very highly regulated country, there's also administrative infrastructure missing. And then in our case, the infrastructure that I thought was missing for the metaverses was the interconnectivity. So this is what we decided to focus on. And through just research and a lot of surveys with people, we then kind of like, how do you say, approved this theory of missing infrastructure. And thus far, whenever I kind of like share the idea, everyone agrees that this is something that would be useful, making us, very bullish on what we're building. Lastly, regarding the fact of like the differentiating aspects, I think the way we have set it up through an open protocol is also very much aligned with the whole idea of Web3 and the open decentralized accessibility, which is what I think is exciting, because the currently our protocol is in beta. So if you want to connect with it on an API level for your project, you have to reach out to us. But the usability is already live, open for anyone to use. And in the future, our source code will also be open for anyone to use. So anyone that wants to utilize the APIs can kind of like access it. And I think that's the best way to approach it. We've seen some competitors doing something like us, but not decentral. They try to like force certain standards on the industry in a centralized manner, and I don't think that aligns with the overall societal and blockchain, movement.
All right, all right. So, in simple terms, if I were to just break this down, so the need for a
Please do.
meta
I tend to overextend. That's good.
no, So, in simple words, Metaverse Exchange is something that the USB-C charger does for our mobile phones today. Uh, the USB-C charger is basically interoperable across different brands, right? And it just made life easier for us as customers, because now we need not carry just the charger of the brand that we own. Rather, it could be any the charger of any brand, but you could just plug it in because it's one universal C type charger. Am I correct, Mr. Lee over there?
Uh, I guess I'm trying to find a metaphor myself. I can't think of anything on the spot, but yeah, we're trying to build something that's accessible to anyone, correct? Yeah.
To anyone and everyone across multiple platforms, across multiple regulations, or multiple spaces in general.
Exactly, an open infrastructure layer. Yeah.
Got it, got it. And you have been talking about the NFT fashion space quite a lot. So, and I do know that you have had a history working with the fashion industry in Metaverse. So, can you walk us through what are some of the similarities and some of the differences that you saw in the real world fashion industry and the Metaverse fashion industry?
Mm, so I think there's actually a lot of differences in the two industries. The I haven't worked a long time in the classic fashion industry. I'm only in like mid 20s myself, so I don't have like 20 years of experience. But from what I can see is that fashion is very arrogant. um, Fashion is very centralized. There's a few big players that own a lot. It's I mean I don't want to give names, but you can easily look it up. There's like 4 or 5 large fashion houses, and they own 90% of the market. And it's also very unsustainable at times. It really depends on, it's a broad field. There's luxury fashion, there's more everyday fashion, and then I'm sure that the fashion industry is also very different for some of the viewers, maybe in Asia, than it is for us in Europe. Because a lot of the stuff that we get in Europe is actually produced where some of you guys might live. I'm assuming. I guess it's a very international crowd here. I don't know. Um, so yeah, I'm kind of losing track here now. It's unsustainable. It's very arrogant at times. At least luxury fashion. Web3 fashion and digital fashion is a lot more open. It's about collaborating. There's like 4 or 5 big players in the market yet for virtual fashion, and I'm connected to basically all of them. It's a very small space yet you can easily get into. It's very open. People want to collaborate. There's this Metaverse Fashion Council that I'm a part of. It just emerged two months ago. Everyone's trying to get on something together, and a lot of brands are emerging, like Artifact from Nike, or well, Artifact was a virtual fashion brand before Nike bought Artifact, that now have great chances. So if you're a young designer in fashion, I would just make a virtual fashion brand and not even a physical fashion brand, because it's more accessible, it's easier, it's cheaper, it's cooler, it's more exciting. It's sustainable. It's so much more sustainable, right? There's no shipping, there's no production, there's no water waste, coloring, um, and also it's accessible. And a lot of the brands, the classic brands, are struggling with getting in the space. So we talked to some fashion brands, and a lot of the boundaries are very mental, but they're putting these boundaries on top of themselves and struggling with getting in the space, which, if you look at the history of innovation, always makes gaps for newcomers, right? If something innovative happens and the old brands, they have trouble catching up, this is where you have a gap of opportunity for people to jump in and do something amazing.
Right, right. And just a while back, we were talking about how metaverse could solve some of the problems that we face in today's world, and you just rightly highlighted one of them: sustainability.
Sustainability, yeah.
Everyone's talking about it, and the metaverse fashion industry is actually giving us a chance to take action, and implementable action actually, into making fashion, but a little more sustainable.
I agree. Yep.
All right, that brings me to the next question, and this is a little more generic, revolving around customers.
Hmm.
So we have been talking about how fashion is now becoming a big part of the metaverse. Gaming has already become a part of the metaverse and quite a huge one. And we keep hearing about how in the future we're not going to have physical events, rather we're going to have events in the metaverse. So all these different domains that are there, what all do you think the metaverse has in store for such customer-centric products, services, or domains?
Anything. I think, no, I'm serious. I think anything. There's so much that can happen that we don't even know yet. Um, if you think about Web 2, it started with like emails and having a website, and then you could like email someone like an invoice, kind of like you can now send someone Bitcoin, or you can request payments and then someone can pay you in Ethereum. And then social media came along and it became so much more complex. And then, there's all these apps, you can now order food, everything's automated, Uber services emerging. And all of this we will see in Web3 on multiple levels. It will start with the simple consumption of arts and consumer goods like fashion and collectible NFTs. And then it will move to services, and ultimately it will move to experiences, games. Car companies are going to be in the metaverse. They're going to offer virtual cars for racing. I don't know. Food companies are probably going to be in the metaverse to kind of display or host events where you can win stuff or vouchers for physical food deliveries. Banking is going to be in the metaverse. We've seen the first. What was it again? Was it Elite? I think it was what's the name? Morgan Stanley. Morgan Stanley. I might be mistaken. One large American bank, Goldman Sachs. It wasn't Lehman Brothers. Maybe Goldman Sachs. It doesn't matter. The first metaverse bank where they have like a retail store for people to bank, classic banking in the metaverse. Anything is possible, and a lot of the things we're not even aware of yet are going to happen as well. And it's just as I said before, I think it's just the next step of the evolution of the internet. It's going to be exciting.
Definitely, definitely. And I completely agree. I think 20 years ago or 25 years ago, when the internet was just starting out, Web 2, no one would have thought that, we would have streaming platforms today where you could watch a movie at your fingertips, or you could watch a new show.
Yeah, this is a great example. People are going to go not go to the cinema. They're going to go to the metaverse cinema, and they're going to meet people there and virtually watch a movie together or something like that. And then the new releases of the movie industry are going to be in the metaverse, for example, I think. Yeah.
Right, right. Exactly, exactly. So basically, anything and everything that is imaginable can happen in the metaverse. All right.
I think
Thank. I think this was quite enlightening in terms of what all opportunities do lie ahead in the metaverse. I think we came up with one which is movie screenings in the future. So
Yeah, someone should buy some land and sandbox, decentralized, some new space. Make the first virtual movie theater, the first virtual metaverse movie theater. I can see this happening. And then you just you start with some independent kind of like film students
yeah.
portraying their movies as a thing, and then sooner or later, in a few years from now, you will be hosting the Oscar performance. And you're not going to be able to get slapped by anyone in the virtual reality. So it's also not going to hurt you if you host the Oscars.
I think there's someone out there listening to this interview today who is probably going to work on this, and sooner or later we're going to have a theater in the metaverse, and we will
Yeah.
all be able to enjoy a movie, a short film on the big screen, but in the virtual world. That brings me to my next question, Mr. Leo, which is what is your take on governance, licensing, and regulations within the NFT space?
Mm, what's my take on regulations in the space? Um, For strategic reasons, I'm not going to say a lot of stuff about like legal things. I think um, it's a wild west right now. There's a lot of like countries with good governance and regulations for the crypto market. There's a lot of countries with very open and unregulated environments. I think if you're a project owner or an entrepreneur, you have to decide what you choose for your project, what's the best approach. Um, I think we will see a lot more regulation in the future. There's a lot of from first world experience, from like active experience. I can also talking to a lot of other projects. If you like, you listen to any other talk, there's a lot of like gray areas still with a lot of stuff in the space. But then again, it really depends on where you're located. So this is a highly jurisdiction dependent topic. And I don't think I can generalize anything, given we probably have like viewers from 40, 50 different countries maybe. So yeah, generally my view is a very general answer. I think we're going to see more regulation on all levels in all countries in the future.
All right, all right. But I believe that these regulations are meant to ensure the security of the metaverse rather than, curbing any independence of the creators and the users. Am I correct in my understanding?
It depends on where. Well, it depends on who gives the regulations, right? There's like, what level of regulations are we talking? If there's a metaverse such as Decentraland and they have certain regulations through their DAO and the governance, then that's not necessarily a bad thing, because they're trying to govern the environment in a way that is respectable and utilizable for everyone. If a classic government of a country is putting on legislations and regulations to make things more difficult for something innovative that they maybe don't understand, I find it more questionable. And oftentimes it's intended in a good manner, but sometimes it's hard to say. Sometimes the free market can also be a good thing. Like, a lot of the regulations can be privatized. I mean, if you like want an ultimate like free market as per definition, you wouldn't have any regulations on any of the stuff that's happening in the Web3 space. And if you wanted your project to be under certain regulations, you would have privatized companies that are acting like governance across certain projects. I don't know. That's a different topic. Sorry, very difficult topic. Difficult topic. Yeah.
I think we'll all get to see a little bit in the future as to how the regulations and the licensing really happens. But for now, what we can say is that there are some regulations which might come. Let's hope that it ensures the creative freedom of the users and as well as the creators that are going to be working in the metaverse. Next, I would like we were just talking about how someone could just buy a piece of land in Sandbox or some other metaverse. What are your views on virtual real estate in the metaverse? There are a lot of big players out there who are starting to invest millions of dollars actually. And what do you think about this space that is now starting to boom?
I think it's very normal development of a new market. If you look at yeah, I think I can't give public financial advice, but I personally think as a normal stage of the development of this sector to have this virtual land sale. I mean, if you look at the physical land sale, whenever areas in this world become more populated and they become more fun, the pricing of land and housing increases. And the metaverses are essentially different environments that are not very popular yet, but they might be in the future. So having companies purchase land as a potential investment is very natural development, I think.
Right. So basically, I think it all boils down to the traffic that we see in a particular place. So in the real world, if there's suddenly a mall that opens up in an area, there are a lot more people that are going to visit that mall, because of which uh, it's going to become more populated, and those many more services, products are going to keep popping up in that mall. And I think the same is going to happen in the virtual world as well, where as more people keep spending time in the metaverse, uh, that many more companies are going to try to enter this, maybe try to advertise their products, their services, and overall just it's going to start booming.
It's a process, yeah, it's a circle. More investments being made means more skin in the game, means, more experiences are being developed. With more experiences, more users. With more users, the price increases for land, more things are being built. It's a classic development of a market, I think.
And we're just at the starting of this wonderful cycle that we might see in the future.
I think so, yeah.
And now the last question for today from the Recorum community. We spoke. You spoke a little bit about NFT bridging in your presentation.
Yeah.
So recently, I also came across some NFT bridging platforms, which were very close to losing a lot of money for the investors, and that
Mm.
was mainly because of some bugs and some issues in the code itself, which led to this happening. So, what are some of the things that you feel the NFT bridging technology needs to crack before it becomes a widespread phenomena?
The virtual aspect, the one USP that we have, the virtual aspect. A lot of the existing NFT bridges, they bridge NFTs across chains, but like, what's the benefit? You have an NFT on Cardano and then you have it on Ethereum. Well, congratulations, you still can't use it. And I think what we're doing, and what I think is so exciting, is they're actually putting the usability into the different games and virtual worlds, providing um, additional value on top of the collectible.
All right, all right. So, I think the virtual aspect is what really matters over here.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, all right. With this, we've come to the end of the questions from the Recorum community. Next, we'll just quickly take some questions from the audience. And can we have the first question from the audience, please? All right. So the question is, how can big brands like Nike, Under Armour, or Zara benefit from the style protocol?
Yeah, it's a very simple answer. Infrastructure. We're talking to a couple of big brands already and offering them to utilize the infrastructure to take their assets and use them in multiple metaverses. Additionally, in the long run, it will also be an open protocol for regular customers. So if some of them are decide not to work with us, but you purchase something from them, you can stake it on our protocol anyways, because we believe in open web free. And you could still like get the services out of it. Yeah, so this is happening. I cannot disclose what brands we're talking to, but we are working with brands, and it's happening. Yeah, they
Uh,
basically use the infrastructure.
we wish you the very best in these discussions, and
Thanks.
hopefully, yeah, we'll see some big names collaborating with Style Protocol in the future. Can we have the next question on screen, please? Okay. How easy is it to make your own NFT with Style?
Well, we need to define own NFT here, because you can't mint on the protocol yet. So you can't. It's not a it's not a creation tool for NFTs. It's a staking tool for NFTs. So existing NFTs can use the protocol to be bridged into other metaverses. If you need to create a NFT in the first place, you should mint it on other launch pads such as OpenSea, Magic Eden. If you want to do Solana, there's a bunch of marketplaces for you to launch the NFT in this initially. And this is also, I think, the next question from what I see in the chat. which is the most suitable network, Ethereum or Solana for fashion-based NFTs? For fashion, I can say it's Ethereum. Why? Because Ethereum it's just the biggest base layer and the one that people associate most value with. It's kind of like if you build a Peugeot and you put a Peugeot motor inside that makes the thing run, then people are going to spend the amount of money that they want to spend for a Peugeot and a Peugeot motor. But if you build as a German, if you build a Mercedes, right, Daimler, maybe a Maybach, and you put a Mercedes motor inside, maybe an AMG, G-Wagon, boom, boom, then people are going to pay the money that they associate with the AMG wagon and Mercedes motor. And it's the same for blockchains. If you have a high value project, I personally would mint it on Ethereum. If you have something that requires a large quantity, but then oftentimes when there's a large quantity, there's a very low cost, right? It's classic, economic model. Then you can maybe do it on some other chains. It really depends on the use case.
All right. And I think, irrespective of which platform we use for this, Style Protocol is there to help you
Yes,
use your
that's
different
true.
NFTs across different
Yeah,
metaverses without
that's
any problem.
yeah, that's actually true. It doesn't matter for us if you want to use our protocol in the future. It can be any blockchain. It's agnostic.
Yeah, that's the point of Style Protocol. So go ahead, use any platform that you want, but when you're using the NFTs across metaverses, check out Style Protocol, and maybe that's helpful for all the users out there.
Yeah,
Uh,
please.
with this,
Also, I'm
with this
very
we
happy
come
for feedback. If anyone uses it, feel free to share the experience with me, or my team in Discord. We're very much looking forward to any engagement.
with this we come to the end of all the questions from the audience and the Recorum community. Thank you so much, Mr. Leo, for explaining to us why we need metaverse exchanges and basically walking us through the metaverse, which could very well be the multiverse of the future, so to say. And I'm sure that all of us have gotten an idea of what the metaverse is, what all opportunities it presents for us in the future, what all opportunities it presents currently, and it's just been wonderful interacting with you. Thank you so much. And before we wrap up the session for today, it would be great if you could just share what has your experience been like with us here at Recorum and this event.
Yeah, it was fun. Thank you so much for having me. I think we have 50 minutes now. It passed by really quickly. I mean, I hope that anyone was able to learn something. I hope the time was valuable also for you guys. I think what you're doing is very cool. I mean, generally, education and sharing information in such a young market is crucial, is key, and offering a platform for companies to connect with talent in this space is extremely fucking valuable. I know from firsthand experience that it's not easy to hire good people. And it's even harder to hire good people in a new market because there's not a lot of people yet in this market, meaning statistically there's less good people. So, yeah, thank you for making this happen. And I am watching the Recorum development very closely as well for our company.
Thank you so much for those words. And any closing remarks for the audience today regarding the metaverse or the metaverse exchange or anything related to the Web3 space?
Hashtag Wagme.
All right, all right. Thank you so much once again, Mr. Leo. I would like to express my humble gratitude for taking out time from your busy schedule and walking us through the metaverse and its importance in this world that is slowly and steadily moving towards Web3. Thank you so much once again, and we hope to see you soon. I'm sure that we had an enlightening experience in today's masterclass. I am sure We had a fun and enlightening experience in today's masterclass, and it was great to see such active participation from all of you. This event would have not been possible without the constant support from our sponsor. We at Recorum would like to give a huge shout out to Style Protocol, which is an open platform to license NFTs and virtual assets to players in any metaverse. We would like to extend our gratitude and look forward to more collaboration in the coming days. I would also like to request all the attendees out there to drop in your wallet addresses so that your unique NFT minted certificates can be shared with you. Also, you need not worry if your friends or colleagues missed out on this session today, because they can still view it and apply for jobs during the post event that goes on for a week. So reach out to them and let's make the community stronger one day at a time. Now, you all must be wondering what next? Well, let me tell you that we have a surprise for you. This is not the end of this masterclass series, as we have another masterclass scheduled for you on 20th July on problems with software distribution in Web3. So, see you all next week, same place, same time. Till then, do subscribe to our social media handles at Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn to get the latest updates from the Recorum community. You have been a lovely audience, and I hope to see you once again with double the energy and passion that we witnessed today. Until then, this is your host Neerav Katyal signing off. Take care, stay safe, and see you soon.